On a Sunday afternoon at the Gabba in 1995, the Brisbane Bears beat Hawthorn after being 45 points down at three-quarter time. It was a defining moment in club history. One of the defining moments. The Bears were 14th on the 16-team ladder with a 4-11 win-loss record going into the round 16 match before they kicked 9-7 to 1-3 in the final quarter for an improbable and extraordinary 14-20, 104-14-13, 97 win. 23 years on their 45-point turnaround from three-quarter time remains the biggest for a win in AFL history. It catapulted the young Bears on a winning run that saw them play finals for the first time 7 weeks later. With coach Robert Walls already having announced he would stand down at the end of season, they won 6 of their last 7 home and away games, losing only to minor premiers Carlton by 14 points. After they beat 8th-placed Melbourne on the Friday night of round 22 at the Gabba, Bears players and coaching staff gathered as a team on the Sunday afternoon to watch 12th-placed Sydney play 9th-placed Collingwood at the SCG. The Bears needed the Swans to win for them to sneak into the finals. When they trailed at every change, hearts sunk, but their Northern Market brothers kicked 8-1 to 2-2 in the final quarter to win by 23 points and see the Bears grab 8th spot with a 10-12 record and a percentage of 95.3. It is the lowest win count for a finals team since the introduction of the Final 8 system in 1994. The Bears lost the elimination final to minor premiers Carlton by 13 points the following week, but looked on with some degree of pride and satisfaction, mixed with thoughts of what might have been, when the Blues beat North Melbourne by 62 points in the preliminary final and Geelong by 61 points in the grand final. Robert Walls and the Bears in 1995. Suddenly the Bears' efforts in 2 matches against the premiers in the back end of the season looked pretty good. It all turned around on that Sunday afternoon on the 23rd of July 1995 when 8 members of the all-conquering Brisbane sides of the 3rd of February 2001 were in the infancy of their careers. Jason Ackerman has played his 9th game, and Craig McRae, 15, Chris Scott, 26, Nigel Lopan, 29, Michael Voss, 47, Darryl White, 60, and Sean Hart, 74, were still learning. Marcus Ashcroft, 119, was a veritable veteran. Each remembers so fondly the day against Hawthorn, which several days later saw Peter Knights, Hawthorn coach and inaugural Bears coach, sacked. They remember how Walls had drawn attention to the fact that on a hot Brisbane afternoon Knights had taken his players over into the shade at the three-quarter time break, telling his troops how the opposition was spent and was gettable. And they remember what a significant day it was on a journey that saw the same team stamp themselves as one of the very best in history 6, 7 and 8 years later. Fast forward 23 years to round 9 2018 and the Gabba witnessed another unforgettable win over the same opposition at the same venue in the same time slot. While it might be folly to contemplate such an immediate turnaround, there will be plenty of Brisbane fans hoping and believing that the 56-point win by the bottom of the ladder Lions over the 5th-placed Hawks on Sunday can and will be a similar catalyst. Certainly, it was a moment that all involved will never forget, and regardless of what follows it will always be a win of the sweetest kind. Also, although it was not mentioned in the lead-up, Sunday's win, after an 0-8 start to the season, the win spared this playing group an unwanted share of the worst start to a season in club history. In 1991, the Bears lost their first 9. A further statistical analysis shows all sorts of significant facts and figures. It was a win that got the Lions off the bottom of the ladder. After conceding 3 of the first 4 goals, they kicked 19 of the next 27 to jump 8.7% to 82.4%. with Carlton beaten by Melbourne by 109 points on Sunday. Shortly before the start of the game, the Blues dropped 6.3% to 69.6%. A 15% differential. So, Carlton are on the bottom of the ladder, and with a 1-8 record, the Lions sit 17th. Since the introduction of the Final 8 system, 40 teams have been 1-8 or worse, but only 2 have had a better percentage than the 2018 Lions. Essendon were 1-8 with a percentage of 85.5 in 2006, and Fremantle were 1-8 and 86.5% in 2008. In the last decade, the numbers are even telling. 12 of 19 teams with a 1-8 record or worse have had a percentage of less than 65%, with GWS 1-8 and 47.3% in 2012 the worst. The Lions were 1-8 and 63.9% last year, 1-8 and 62.1% in 2016, and 1-8 and 54.8% in 2014. So, while the prospect of taking on the Sydney Swans at the Gabba on Saturday night should safeguard against any sort of complacency, the numbers give cause for hope to the fans. Individually, Hugh McCluggage was the standout performer on Sunday in what was dubbed the Luke Hodge Cup, as Hodge enjoyed a fairy tale win over his former club in their first meeting since the champion defender moved to the Gabba. McCluggage had what is often described as a breakout game. It was the best of his 27 in the AFL. Third picked in the 2016 national draft behind Essendon's Andrew McGrath and GWS' Tim Taranto, the former North Ballarat Rebels midfielder had a career-best 27 possessions, including a career-best 12 contested possessions. Eric Hipwood kicked an equal career-best 4 goals, Harris Andrews had an equal career-best 16 one-percenters, Tom Cutler an equal career-best 3 goals, Jared Berry a career-best 3 goal assists, Zach Bailey a career-best 6 contested possessions, and Matt Eagles kicked his first goal. It was a goal Eagles, the fairy tale football story of the year, will never forget. It was the clincher from just inside 50 meters after he attacked the contest with a ferocity that has quickly become a trademark. Dane Zorko had 30 possessions and 10 tackles for the 5th time in his career. Zorko owns the Lions' last 5 of these special doubles on an all-time list that includes only 8 Brisbane players and a total of 27 and 30/10 doubles since the AFL started keeping statistics on tackles in 1990. Tom Rockcliffe has 16 of them, while Marcus Ashcroft, Nigel Lepan, Luke Power, Simon Black, Dane Beams and Mitch Robinson have had 30/10 in the possessions, tackles columns once each. Also, Charlie Cameron took what will be a real contender for Mark of the Year. 6 Lions players shared their first win for the club together: Hodge, Cameron, Bailey, Eagle, Oscar McInerney and Cam Rayner. If the fairy tale script was complete, it would have been the biggest gathering inside the circle of the victory song, but it wasn't. Aside from the 20 players who shared Fitzroy's first win in 1897, the biggest first win celebration came in Round 3, 1992, when 10 Bears players savoured a 24-point win over Fitzroy at Carrara. That was really special, ending an 8-game losing streak that included 4 100-point thumpings, and saw Colin Alexander, Ashley Green, John Hudden, Simon Lurs, Steve McCluskey, Rod Owen, Nigel Paul Freeman, Brendan Retzliff, Daryl White and Peter Worsfold pump out the old Bears song for the first time. 3 times previously, 7 players have had their first Brisbane win together, including Round 6 2014 when current players Lewis Taylor, Cutler, Nick Robertson and Darcy Gardiner joined James Ish, Trent West and Luke McWane in savouring a win over St Kilda in Wellington. The other times, too, there have been 6 first-time winners together. Sunday's win, which also gave coach Chris Fagan his first win over his former club, saw the Lions post their first win since round 21 last year, when they beat Gold Coast by 58 points at the Gabba. The two wins were strikingly similar. In the win last year, the Lions trailed by 21 points at quartertime before kicking 13 goals in the second half and 7 goals in the final quarter. On Sunday, in what numerically was the best performance since then, they trailed by 18 points midway through the first quarter, kicked 11 goals in the second half and 7 goals in the last quarter. Sunday's win also made it 2 good days in a row in front of goal at the Gabba for loyal Lions fans, with their 20-9 total against the Hawks following their 18-6 against Collingwood in round 7, when they lost by 7 points. Significantly, too, among the 18 teams that played in round 9, the Lions, with an average age of 24 years 157 days and a total games experience of 1797, were the 4th youngest and 5th least experienced. Only the Bulldogs, 23 years 226 days, Gold Coast, 24/18, and St Kilda, 24/87, were younger, and only Gold Coast, 1628 games, the Bulldogs, 1630, St Kilda, 1672, and GWS, 1745, had less experience. And that despite the presence of 33-year-old, 313-gamer Haj.